Goliath, the notorious giant from Gath of Philistia, is certainly well known to you. When it comes to biblical giants, he's essentially the star attraction. You might be surprised to learn that there's a lot more to his enormous family and his narrative. Even though Goliath is the most well-known giant in the Bible, there are a few little-known details about him, his upbringing, and particularly his family. A fact of life that is frequently overlooked: he wasn't raised by himself. Goliath's 5 brothers were all descended from giants known as Repayam or Refate. The real tale of this dreadful, monstrous behemoth of the sacred texts is seldom known. His siblings, who share the same race, are his genetic relations. An interesting detail about his life that most people who are familiar with his narrative are unaware of. Don't forget to subscribe to Ancient History for fascinating insights into the mysteries of the ancient world and captivating historical narratives. In case you missed it, Goliath's race, the Repayam giants, often referred to as Refate giants, consisted of around 5 brothers. According to the Bible, as soon as the brothers of Goliath of Gath, who shared the same race as them, learned that their brother had been slain by King David, they plotted to get revenge on the king. These 5 giants were so enraged that they made every effort to assassinate the Israelite ruler. According to certain experts and thinkers, one of these giants engaged David in combat. However, as the movie will show us in more detail later on, this giant was murdered by a friend of one of David's warriors. The people who were represented by the Israelites warned David not to launch any additional conflicts or fights, since he might be alone when other giants try to murder him. This was done to ensure that the lamp of Israel wouldn't run out. According to the Bible, the Israelites encountered many Canaanites, Canaanite tribes, and giants of various racial backgrounds when they traveled to Canaan after leaving Egypt, the country of slavery and servitude. These giants were very broad and tall. They were enormous, measuring 6.5 feet in width and 10 to 15 feet in height. One notable example is King Og of Basin. At his widest point, he measured 6.5 feet by 15 feet. He was so heavy that support for the whole thing required an iron bed. He appeared to be a monster for sure. The Bible also describes the Repayam, sometimes known as the Rephames, a prehistoric, enormous tribe that existed before the Nephilim and the Antiquians. They resided in the Basin area, which is today in Israel and Jordan, and everybody knew it. Repayam can be described as either giants or mighty men. Deuteronomy chapter 2 verse 20 to 21 and chapter 3 verse 11 name them, and Og, the king of Basin, is identified as one of them. The Bible also describes the giants known as the Anakims or Anakians. Before Joshua led the Israelites to conquer Canaan, they were residents of that land. They were a towering, powerful tribe. The Israelites are informed in Numbers chapter 13 verse 33 that the Hebrew spies claimed to have seen the sons of Anak as giants. The Israelites became suspicious and terrified as a result. According to the Bible, the majority of giants and gigantic races that fled or stayed alive from Joshua and Israel did so because Israel engaged in combat with them, killing or gravely wounding a large number of them. In addition to relocating to Africa, the majority of these giants settled in Philistia, Mesopotamia, and other adjacent nations. There are, in fact, legends about these terrifying giants among nearly every group of people in the world. This indicates that, in addition to the region that became Canaan, giants also inhabited Mesopotamia, Africa, the Americas, Europe, and Hindustan. Now let's go into greater depth about each of Goliath's brothers. They're all enormous. Goliath's first big sibling was named Lami. Like Goliath, Lami was also a large man. Lami is described as follows in 1 Chronicles chapter 20 verse 5. And there was a war again with the Philistines, and Elhanan, the son of Jair, hit Lami, the brother of Goliath of the Gittite, whose spear shaft was like a weaver's organ. This verse tells us some fascinating facts about Goliath's brother, Lami. The size of his spear is raised as an intriguing question in this passage. Additionally, given the size of the weaver's organ, the weight of his spear, That is to say, if his spear was the length of a weaver's organ, or roughly the same length, it was unquestionably a very long and extremely heavy spear. The enormous Lami was most likely the same height as the enormous Goliath, or very nearly so. There are reports that the enormous Lami measured 10 or maybe 10.5 feet. The next giant recorded in the Bible was called Ishbibinab. He belonged to the same race of giants as Goliath. One of the giants, Repayam's sons, Ishbibinab, was described in 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 16, as possessing a spear with a bronze point that weighed roughly 300 shekels. This weight is substantial. In addition, he wielded a massive new sword and made sure that everyone was aware of its size. Its weight is demonstrated by the claims made by some that the spearhead alone weighed between 13 and 15 pounds. Ishbibinab's sword is described in the book as being enormous and extremely sharp, perfect for a giant. Similar to Goliath, Ishbibinab was a behemoth who attempted to harm or possibly kill David. However, David's friend, Abishai, who was Zeruiah's son, saved him. He killed Ishbibinab by beating him. Interestingly, David faced out against Ishbibinab the giant in his second encounter with a monster. David, on the other hand, sought assistance since he was tired of fighting. The brother of Goliath, Ishbibinab, was vanquished by Abishai, the son of his sister. Ishbibinab was probably 9 or 10 feet tall, if not taller, considering the size of his weaponry and his huge stature. Among his ancestors was not just the legendary biblical Goliath. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 18 emphasizes that Saphe, his brother, was one of the Refate giants. Sibikai, the Hushathite, triumphed against Saphe in a battle with the Philistines in one instance. It's estimated that Sapphe's dimensions were similar to those of Goliath, if not what's somewhat smaller or taller. Many estimate Sapphe's height to have been 6 cubits, or between 9 and 10 feet. However, 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 19, where we see yet another giant from Gath, complicates the table. It's interesting to note that although he goes by Goliath the Gittite, he is also named Goliath. Elhanan the Bethlehemite faced and defeated this Goliath during a battle at Job. The Goliath's distinctive weapon was a spear as thick as a weaver's beam. Oversized spears appear to run in the family. To dispel any misunderstanding regarding their shared name, however, one was from Gath and the other was a Gittite. But the family of giants doesn't end there. Unidentified in the texts, Goliath had a 5th sibling, who was a strange person. This particular giant gained notoriety not just for his enormous stature, but also for his unusual physical characteristics. He had 6 toes on each of his hands and feet, for a total of 24. This enormous giant, who belonged to the Refate ancestry, is thought to have been the largest of them all. His particular digit arrangement has drawn a lot of attention. That's all for this video. We'll be back soon with another informative video. Don't forget to like and share this video. To keep exploring ancient history together, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time!